Consider the function. They give us a function there. Let capital F be the antiderivative of little f with capital F of 0 equals 0. So we go, okay, so we get the little f of t equal to 7 secant squared t minus 3 t cubed. Okay, so we got to do the antiderivative. Well, how do we do that? Well, you remember the derivative rules go like this. If you have x to the n, the derivative is n x to the n minus 1. The anti is the opposite. So the antiderivative, you actually add 1 to the power instead of subtracting, and you multiply by 1 over that number in the front. Okay, so anyway, so we want the antiderivative, capital F of t. What's it going to be? What's the anti of this? Well, the 7 sitting in the front will just sit there. Secant squared. Well, remember the derivative rules. Do you remember the derivative of sine? The derivative is cosine. Cosine. Derivative is minus sine. Remember these? Derivative tangent is secant squared. Hold on, there it is. That means the anti will go backwards, right? If you take tangent, its derivative is secant squared. So therefore, secant squared, the anti goes back to tangent. So we're doing anti here. So this is going to be tangent of t. Does that make sense? Secant squared, the anti goes back to tangent because tangent derivative is secant squared. All right, now what am I going to do with this other part? I'm going to add 1 to the power. Leave the minus 3 in front. Add 1 to the power becomes 4, and then divide by that number, right? You add 1 to the power and then do 1 over that number. But don't forget, plus a constant, because there could be any constant number out there, and the derivative of that constant would go back to 0, so it'd be right. Now, so we have this, but now we got to determine the constant. Well, they tell us, how do we do that? They tell us that f of 0 is 0. So if I plug in 0 for t, I get 7 tangent 0 minus 3/4 0 to the fourth plus a constant, and they tell us that equals 0, right? Plug in 0, you get 0. Plug in 0, it'll equal 0. Well, 7 tangent 0, tangent 0, 0, you can check on Desmos. This is 0. So that means the constant must also be 0. So we've got it. This is the antiderivative right here. The constant is just 0. And so that goes in the box. Sure enough, that's the anti they got. And so there it is.